Hey guys, Tarin here. It's been a while since I made one of these, but I want to make a SWG restoration profession tier list for PvP for patch 1.2.2. It's been a couple months since I made a tier list. Some tweaks have been made, some changes have been made towards Jedi and other things and whatnot. Obviously, I don't think I've made a tier list since Jedi's been in the game. It's been out for a couple months now, about 2 or 3 months, and yeah, so I want to make a post-Jedi tier list, I guess. Alright, so let's get right into it. So, right off the bat, I want to talk about something that might seem obvious to most people, but just going to put Jedi up here in their own tier before we even get into any of the other professions. I feel like it's kind of obvious pretty much in any pre-NGE situation where Jedi is going to be here. If you can make a Jedi, like if you have it unlocked and you can become one, you should probably be one, unless you're like me and you just really don't want to play one. But yeah, they're here. They're the best. They're going to be the best. They've been the best. It's going to probably stay this way for... I don't see a world where this isn't the case. So the Jedi will watch this video and be like, oh no, this, Jedi, you can't put it there. It's here, man. If you can play a Jedi, play a Jedi. So that being said, it's still important even as a Jedi to have a non-Jedi combat character ready for PvP. So let's talk about those. So right off the bat, we're going to talk about Combat Medic. Definitely probably the strongest normie profession, mainly because it's annoying to fight as ranged, it's a really good counter to melee, and it's probably your best chance at killing a Jedi on a normal character is to be a Combat Medic. Dots are really strong, debuffs are really strong, excuse me, and the heals are obviously really strong. Back to spray is still insanely good. You get a lot of healing potency at Master, so your heals are stronger, your dots are way better and they hit more often now that dot, the Combat Medic debuffs, the dots, they have like a hit chance to them. So it's really important to be Master for that. But yeah, this is probably the best normie profession. Now, I'm not going to rank the professions in this tier list from number 1 to number 2 to number 3. I'm not going to rank them like that, but I will say that this, in my opinion, is probably number 1. So that being said, what comes next is not necessarily number 2. What I want to talk about next is TKM. So Teras Kasi Master is definitely the next profession that I would probably put in this S tier. It's just really strong, it's insanely tanky, it has great skill mods, it just loads on the defense. It's got Greater Center of Being, it's got Hone Center of Being for the non-TKMs, but Greater Center of Being at Master is just really, really strong, makes you insanely tanky and hard to hit. They have 500 more health than everybody else through Power Boost. They have a stacking defensive debuff, or I'm sorry, not debuff, buff now through Combo Attack. So the more times they hit someone with combo attack, the more they build stacks of this buff that increases their defense. So they're just insanely hard to hit. That being said, they have the unarmed tree as well as the two-armed tree to become one. So it's really easy to pair it with things like Commando, most of the melee professions, Smuggler, things like that. So it's pretty flexible, does decent damage. It's insanely hard to kill. At Master, you get the what's it called? I forget the name of it, but there's like a new ability that they've had for a few patches now, where they can break snares and increase their movement speed for a few seconds and just run at someone. And it has a really short cooldown, and so they're able to get out of CC. They are hard to hit. They are tanky. They have more health than everyone else. They have good damage through combo attack. They have an armor break, even though it's basic, it's still an armor break. They have a dizzy, they have all the recoveries, they're just really, really strong. So as far as melee goes, TKM is just insane, and it's just really, really, really good for normie characters right now to be a Teras Kasi Master. The next one I want to talk about is probably Pikeman, or Lancer, I'm sorry. Lancer definitely belongs in the S tier. Just the damage of a pike combined with its AoE damage and the debuffs through things like spin attack now applies in a snare around it, so everyone that gets hit by spin attack is now snared. So they've got an AoE CC through the slow. They've got advanced intimidate, which is I believe a 20% damage dealt reduction to everyone around you. It's like an AoE thing that you pop, and it reduces the damage of all the enemies hit by it. This is especially good against Jedi, as it drastically decreases the amount of damage that Jedi are putting out. Pikeman is just in a really good place, and it does good damage because the pike weapons have great DPS on them. Like they're just fantastic. So Lancer is in a very, very good spot. I definitely think it belongs up here. So next, I want to talk about Commando. Commando is still probably the best ranged profession in the game. Heavy weapons are still really strong. Commando has obviously been through several nerfs and changes throughout the months, but flamethrowers, acid launchers, rocket launchers, all still very strong. Does good AoE damage, even though it's been toned down a bit. The cooldown on burn down and brittle armor has been reduced, so they can keep up the commando dot faster and reapply brittle armor stacks quicker. So that's really good for them. They're much more debuff focused than just purely damage focused. I would say that pure damage commando builds aren't nearly as good as they were before, but the debuff focused commando builds are still extremely, extremely strong. So in my opinion, if you want to play a normie and you want to be ranged and you're not picky, play a commando. Commando is still just really, really good. It's probably not. I would probably maybe put it like, I don't know. So yeah, probably like here. If I were to actually rank them, I might do something like this here. But yeah, these are definitely the 4 professions that I think belong in this tier. Definitely these 4. So next we're going to talk about the A tier. So A tier, we have a lot of things in the A tier here. First things first, we're going to put Bounty Hunter in A tier. Bounty Hunter is always good. It's like the jack of all trades, master of none. It's got no weaknesses, but it's got no major strengths. It's got AoE, it's got debuffs, it's got damage, it's got defensives, it's got assault armor. It's got skill mods, it's got accuracy, speed, defense. It's got a little bit of everything. Bounty Hunter is great. You can pair with just about anything that's ranged. It's really strong. I would say the best things to pair with Bounty Hunter right now are probably like Combat Medic and then Rifleman, which is actually the next thing we're going to talk about. Rifleman definitely belongs in the A tier. Sniper shot damage was nerfed a few patches ago, I think, or just, quite recently, and that did hurt them a little bit. But I still think that the single target damage of Sniper is really, really strong right now. It's still very, very strong. You kind of do have to play more of the like sniper type playstyle, where you can't really be in the fray as a rifleman anymore. You kind of need to be like prone, kind of several meters away, like just kind of maybe at max distance, like 65 meters, just poking at people, sniping, like doing sniper shot and things like that. Their single target spike damage is obviously very strong, but definitely not as flexible as they used to be. But they're still really, really strong. So. Next, I'm probably gonna put, let's see, where do I want to put here? Oh, Smuggler. Smuggler is quite good. I actually think Smuggler belongs like right here. They haven't really changed much. However, with the prevalence of Jedi, Smugglers, I think, one of the few ranged professions that got a little better. And the reason being, the debuffs that Smuggler brings to the table are particularly good against Jedi. Low Blow is a attack speed slow that hits Jedi really hard, because Jedi have a hard time with attack speed. So that massive attack speed debuff against Jedi is really big. They've got heal cuts, which is good against Jedi. Obviously, it's good against anyone. They've got Panic Shot, which applies a blind, which is really good against Jedi because Jedi have relatively low accuracy with their lightsabers and force powers as well. So the accuracy debuff from that is good. The blind, the attack speed slow from Low Blow is good. They've got a slow, which is okay. They do really good damage with pistols, which is surprising. Their DPS with a pistol in their hand is quite high because reckless shot damage is just ridiculously good with a pistol. They've increased critical strike chance with pistols, so their pistols not only are doing more damage with reckless shot, they're also critting way more often. They have increased accuracy while moving around with a pistol in their hand. They're just very, very versatile and are able to make use of pistols, which are a pretty high DPS weapon when paired with Smuggler. So that's pretty good. And one of the biggest things is Concussion Shot. So Concussion Shot is an attack that does no damage, but it has a 100% chance to hit. And what it does is it's a mesmerize that mezzes them in place for 45 seconds. It mezzes someone in place for 45 seconds, and it's on a 6-second cooldown. So, that said, let's pull out our little calculator here. If you were in a team fight and you were just like using concussion shot off cooldown every single time, you could, you know, given some time for error, you could have about 7 people stuck in conk shot by the time the first person you conked gets out, which is a lot. There's a lot of people just unable to do anything. So, because of the Jedi meta we're in, we don't really see this sort of unga bunga commando go burr flamethrower heavy weapon blast everything down in the AoE in front of you. That meta is kind of gone, or it's not really gone. It's still kind of there with normies, but it's fading away with, you know, Jedi and melee becoming, you know, more and more important. So because the meta is shifting more to a single target, you know, spike this guy down, then spike this guy down, then spike this guy down, just kind of boom, 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 one at a time. Because that's how fights are kind of becoming now. Smuggler is way more impactful, because the reason concussion shot was not as important before was you conk one person, and then just as soon as the commandos let loose, they just instantly break it because they're all just spamming AoEs everywhere, right? But now that people are more single target focused, you can conk somebody like kind of away from the fight, or, you know, concussion shot like a healer or something, or someone important, and like the people that aren't being focused down, you can just conk them and just remove them from the fight for 45 seconds, which is a long time. So that's huge. They are also really, really good in small engagements. So like a 3v3, 2v2, 4v4, anything less than like, you know, 5 or 6 people, Smuggler is going to be insanely strong in, because using concussion shot in a 3v3 makes it into a 3v2, and a 3v2 is a massive difference between, like, a 3v2 versus a 3v3 is a massive difference. Especially something like a 2v2, right? Like if you concussion shot someone in a 2v2, you know, it becomes a 2v1, and that's very difficult to deal with as a non-Jedi. So Smuggler is really good, in my opinion. I think it definitely belongs here. I would probably put it at the top of A. Not a lot of people are like playing like pure Smuggler. Like some people are going like commando and then like putting some Smuggler into it, which is fine. That's still really strong. But as far as like playing like pure Smuggler, like a Smuggler using a pistol and everything, utilizing its full kit, it's very good. Kind of unexplored in my opinion, besides a couple players, but it's quite good. So I've talked about Smuggler enough. Let's move on to the next thing. Next profession I want to talk about is probably Fencer. Fencer probably belongs like right here-ish, probably here. Fencer, it's still really good. The thing about Fencer is the main reason you go it is for the improved binding strike, but it's just from one line, and you can just get the one line as like a, you know, a Lancer or a TKM, and, you know, that's all you really need. It's also the accuracy line too, so not only do you get that one ability that's super important, which is the heal cut, the improved binding strike, but you also get a bunch of accuracy. So you don't need to go Master Fencer, but you still can go Master Fencer, and it's still really strong in my opinion. It's still really good. So Fencer, you know, it's in a relatively great spot. Like I said, the debuffs from Pikeman and the survivability of Teras Kasi are just uber strong right now because of Jedi. Fencer can definitely still make it work. I mean, they still got the blind, which is really good. Blinds are really good against Jedi. They've got the heal cut, which is obviously the main reason you go for Fencer. And they've still got some other things like some AoEs, like some cones and stuff. And, you know, the damage of one-handers like DPS is pretty decent. So Fencer is definitely not bad at all. Definitely belongs right here, in my opinion. So what's next? Doctor. Ooh, I'll talk about Doctor. Doctor probably goes maybe right here. No, probably right here, honestly. Doctor, so they received a new ability at Master Doctor, which is advanced backed infusion, and what it does is it is an AoE version of backed infusion. Now this is insanely strong because it heals for a lot and it applies to everyone around you. And you know, keeping this up on an entire group is insane HPS. It is actually bonkers how much healing you can put out as a Master Doctor with AoE infusion now. So Master Doctor really can heal through pretty much any AoE meta that normies try to do, and it pretty much prevents the AoE meta, I guess, because if you go with like Master Combat Medic, Master Doctor, if you want to go like a full healer, there's no way anybody right now is going to be able to AoE down your group with like commandos and whatnot. Like people just aren't going to be able to do that anymore. There's just too much healing. Between these, between Doctor, Master Doctor getting the AoE hot and Master Combat Medic having, stronger back to spray, and you have Jedi playing Force Healer or whatever running around, like the AoE meta is not really that strong right now, largely because of this, in my opinion. So Doctor's still really strong. Healing is obviously really, really strong. The problem with Doctor is that the cleanses are still not great, and it kind of is entirely reliant on that AoE heal, the AoE back infusion. The thing is that you can only have one up though at a time, so having more than one Doctor is kind of a waste in a fight. So you really just kind of want one, but it's still definitely not bad. Having a Doctor versus not having a Doctor in a fight is very, very, very noticeable. So next, carbs. We'll talk about carbs. Carbs is gonna start off our B tier. Carboneer is not bad. It was better when the AoE meta was a thing, but because the meta is not so AoE focused, I don't think it's that strong. It's still got utility through suppressive fire, and it's got a knockdown, and it's got a crippling shot, so it's got a slow, and the damage is still decent. I mean, scatter shot is still probably the best AoE, and then you've got leg shot, which does get damage and things like that. So Carboneer is still good. The Carboneer profession didn't get nerfed or anything. It's definitely still viable. The problem is just that because the meta is not so AoE focused anymore, Carboneer just kind of isn't as useful as it used to be, if that makes sense. So I would say it is a solid B tier. Pistolier is probably B tier as well. Whoops, press this, my bad. The Pistolier is kind of the problem that it's always had, where Pistolier is great, using a pistol is not. Really the only way a pistol can be viable in PvP is to go Smuggler and kind of use all those abilities and whatnot. Going Pistolier and then trying to use a pistol, like going like Pistolier BH or something, you have to go like Master Combat Medic or something else with it. So it's still not great for that. However, pairing Pistolier with things to support them, like Commando, Rifleman, Smuggler, these sort of things, it's still probably one of the best, if not the best, support range template, if that makes sense. It's like one of the best professions at supporting another profession and making that profession better, if that makes sense. On its own, it's still pretty weak. However, it's still probably like the GOAT of, or one of the bests of supporting a template. So I think it still belongs in B tier personally, because like I said, as a support template, it's like up here, like it's insane. However, as a standalone template, it's like here, maybe here. So it's not great. It's probably like right here. So I'm gonna put it in B. It's a good middle ground for me to put it in. Pistolier's fine. Swordsman, Berserker. Berserker, I'm honestly gonna put like right here. I'll put it at the top of B tier because it is still melee, so it is still really good against Jedi, and in the current state of things, it's got really good single target damage, and it's got improved armor break, or advanced armor break. The problem is that with Saber armor break now, this advanced armor break is not as necessary anymore, and that's really that plus single target melee damage is really all Berserker brings. So now Berserker is basically just like a Master Lightsaber, but worse. So they're useful. What they brought to the table, I guess, is now replaced by a Jedi profession that basically does the same thing. So it's not bad. It's just kind of like Carboneer. It's just not very useful anymore. I mean, if you're not a Jedi and you want to play that playstyle, Berserker is obviously a good call. But yeah, it's just kind of overshadowed by Master Lightsaber. So Creature Handler. All right, Creature Handler is it's always been such a weird profession to rank, in my opinion, because in group scenarios, it's probably like here-ish, maybe Probably, yeah, probably like right here, maybe. Probably right here as far as like group goes, but as far as solo goes, it's probably up here. So I'm probably going to end up just leaving it here, just, you know, for the sake of consistency, because I am basing this not entirely. I am factoring 1v1s a little bit into this, but for the most part, this is more group focus. I do keep the single, you know, the 1v1 stuff in mind a bit with this. So, so yeah, I'll put creature handler in B tier. It's in groups. It's like all pets really do in groups is put flank on someone, which is very necessary. You do really need flank. Flank is a very important debuff, but the pet kind of dies pretty easily. It's just kind of annoying more than anything else. I mean, outside of keeping up flank, it's creature handler in group fights is just there to be annoying. In 1v1s and bounty hunting like Jedi and things like that, it's obviously still really, really strong for that. So if you want to be a creature handler, pair it with something like bounty hunter, something that you can consistently, you know, force people into like 1v1s and things like that. Basically, like when you're attacking someone with a pet and they have any kind of support, it's kind of useless. So, oh, oops. And so I think creature handler is just kind of solid B tier. It belongs right here. So the last profession I want to talk about is squad leader. So squad leader has also always been kind of a weird profession to rank, because on its own it's obviously here, but in a group it's obviously here. Right now, squad leader I would probably say is like right here. No, I'll put it in S tier, and the reason I'm going to put it in S tier is because this is a group focused, ultimately tier list, and so in any group setting, a squad leader is always going to be insane. Whether it's a small group or a large group, you need a squad leader. So I'm going to put squad leader in S tier. There's also a weird interaction going on right now between Jedi and squad leader, and second chance is all of a sudden good now. It like mitigates almost all the damage when it's split. It's very weird. So yeah, so I mean, with that in the game, squad leader is almost right here, honestly, but I'm sure that'll get fixed soon. So squad leader, you know, I'm gonna put it right here. I'm gonna leave it in S tier because obviously second chance is, you know, cool, but you know, you always need things like double time, steady aim, high yield, charge, paint target, rally point, those sort of things. The squad leader is always going to be necessary for a group fight. A group with a squad leader versus a group without a squad leader is always going to have a massive advantage. So I'm going to put squad leader right there. So this is my tier list right now for 1.2.2. This is my first post Jedi tier list. I haven't made a tier list in like 6 months, but yeah, so this is my first post Jedi tier list. I think this is what I've settled on, and I think I've ranked it too. Actually, I remember I said at the start I'm not going to rank it. Probably like this. Yeah, I think this is what I'm comfortable with right here as far as ranking everything from best to worst. I'm just double checking everything. Yep, I think this looks good. Yeah. This is the tier list right here. If you have any questions, feel free to comment or ask in Discord or whatever. But hope you guys enjoy it. I'll see you next time, and may the force be with you.